The Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, is one of the officials leading a case on this citizenship clause I mentioned, joining us tonight, as well as Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York City, during Trump's first term. Welcome to both of you. Mayor, I mentioned the history and the precedent because some of this overlaps more than the political parties acknowledge. Other parts seem to be unlawful bluster. Yep. If politicians could rewrite one part of the Constitution, some of them would like to rewrite all of it. Walk us through what this means and how this works from your vantage point when you were running a big city.
Spent 4 years often having to fight Donald Trump. And I think what is being misunderstood here is the limits of presidential power, the limits of federal power, federal government power. You know, the constitutional system, the federal system, gives a huge amount of the governing power to states and then by extension localities, which are creatures of states. And what we found was there were ample possibilities for legal challenge. Most notably, we are a sanctuary city. And that means most essentially, we do not allow our police officers, our teachers, our healthcare workers to ask people their documentation status, or it would destroy the possibility of providing those services and being a safe and healthy city. The NYPD has felt that for decades. So Donald Trump early on attempted to take away our security funding for New York City, #1 terror target in New York, in the nation, tried to take away the security funding, the Homeland Security funding, because we were a sanctuary city, except we were able to successfully sue and stop that because the Supreme Court, in a decision written by Justice Roberts, the Sebelius case, made clear that the federal government cannot cherry pick and say we're not going to give funding to a certain city because we disagree with their policies if it's funding that is supposed to be for all cities or all states.
So unlike The Sopranos, current law is the feds can't just strong-arm a city to get what they want.
Exactly. And I think people should recognize there are many tools. I think what the attorney generals are doing right now on birthright citizenship is a great example. But there are so many other ways to obstruct these inappropriate executive orders and to recognize that a state and a city maintains a lot of ability to self-govern. And for example, even today, the NYPD issued a directive to all of its officers reminding them that they are not immigration enforcement agents if they acted in that capacity. It would alienate them from literally hundreds of thousands of people they have to serve and keep safe and a larger community. So localities can reinforce that as freestanding entities and states. We will make our own rules. And that's one of the most profound ways to fight back, Ari, to remind everyone, our employees, our citizens, our system allows us to self-govern in so many ways. No president has ever been able to pierce that in a particularly full manner. Neither will this one.
Attorney General Ellison, your thoughts and what your case does.
Well, I just want to say that it's very clear that the words of the Constitution and precedent, you mentioned correctly, Wong Kim Ark, make it clear that any court who looks at this case will have to side with the states, with the attorneys general. Clearly, citizenship as defined in the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, is clear. If you're born in that state and you're subject to the laws of the United States, then you're a U.S. citizen. The real question is, why would he introduce an executive order, which he knows we're going to challenge, and which he knows precedent and text of the Constitution is against him? It's because he wants to fight. Why does he want this fight? Well, it may have something to do with the fact that he has been spouting all types of hostile rhetoric about immigrants all along. I would say this to you, Ari, we're not really talking about reforming immigration because there's not one AG in the country, not any policymaker I know, who doesn't want sensible, fair, just, expeditious resolution of immigration matters. We clearly want a good, solid, predictable immigration system. That's not the problem.
Yeah.
What we don't want is cruelty. What we don't want is xenophobia. What we don't want is violations of people's due process. But why does the president want it? I guess that's a question we're going to be answering for the next 4 years.
Well, let me jump in. Just on the point you made, you mentioned that he wants this fight. The order says they would start to act on this reversal of the Constitution, this attempt, next month, right? So one observation I wanted to run by you and get your view on it is, you know, it's like, what did they learn from last time? The travel ban was rushed out, and it was supposed to be immediate. And Steve Bannon and others said they wanted shock and awe. But what that also got them was an immediate injunction out of New York, actually. I'm sure the mayor remembers. And so one of the first headlines was they're being blocked in the courts. They failed. And we watched a bunch of federal agents do what they're supposed to do, which is follow the law. And the law is a court order. People might forget the president's word is not the final word. It is the first word. The president has control of the federal agencies, but it's not the final word if the court enjoins, which is what happened. And so I wonder, do you think that they actually seem to, quote unquote, learn from that and delayed the start of this so they can have time, well, really fighting with you in court before they ever get what might be a bad headline where a judge slaps this down?
Yes, and I can tell you this. We know that even Donald Trump was surprised that he won last time. They weren't ready in the same way. I don't think there were too many day one injunctions.
You mean won the election,
yeah. When he won. A lot of times, you know, I'm talking about years ago. This time around, they're better prepared. They have more pliant folks that they're trying to appoint in the administration. They have people whose main qualification is loyalty, not proficiency. And so, yeah, they're trying to learn from what they did the last time. But Ari, I still don't think it's going to work. As you said, I don't care if you start a month from now, 2 weeks from now, the Constitution says what it says, and the constitutional president says what it says. What they're really trying to do is create this society where Americans are turning on Americans. Look, people who are Americans by virtue of birthright citizenship are just as American as anyone else, can run for president just like him. And that is the constitutional principle. That is the justice principle we've got to stand on. I hope people listening to your broadcast will reach out to their neighbors, your mosque, your synagogue, your church, whatever you're a part of. Find a way to renew your commitment to all Americans, including Americans who've immigrated to this country. That's what's needed now. This reminds me of a executive order form of what he said about Haitians back during the campaign. Just sort of a divisive, hateful thing designed to achieve some political end and for effect. But I think we're still going to win. And I have even faith in this Supreme Court that they're not going to trash the Constitution the way Trump wants them to.